The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over Earth's surface as the final hour drew near. High above in space, an alien fleet was rapidly approaching, their massive ships casting an eerie glow across the night sky. Below, on Earth, the world was on edge. The military was in full mobilization, but it was clear to everyone watching that they were outmatched, outnumbered, and about to face an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The Galactic Empire, a far superior alien force, had been observing humanity for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now that moment had come. The Empire was no longer just watching, they were invading. Their ships loomed like giants on the edge of the atmosphere, weapons primed and ready for the final assault. Earth's defenses, however, were a fraction of the strength needed to stand a chance. Earth's military, made up of mostly conventional forces, was no match for the Empire's advanced technology. Alien ships with energy shields, laser cannons, and self-repairing drones were too much to handle. The Galactic Empire's commander, General Zorath, a towering figure with piercing yellow eyes, looked down on Earth from his flagship. His voice echoed across the stars as he mocked humanity's feeble defenses. "Look at these insects," he sneered in his broadcast. "They think they can fight us. Their army is a joke, a mockery of true power." His laughter filled the broadcast, sending a chill through every human who heard it. Zorath made his intentions clear: Earth would be crushed beneath the might of the Empire, its cities reduced to rubble, and its people enslaved. The Earth was to be a stepping stone for the Empire's expansion into the galaxy. Back on Earth, in a high-tech command center hidden deep beneath the surface, Captain Elijah Trent, the commander of Earth's defenses, stood before a large screen, his eyes locked on the enemy ships that were now clearly visible in the sky. The countdown to Earth's destruction had begun, and there was little that could be done to stop it. He ran his fingers over his chin, deep in thought, while the rest of his team scrambled to respond. His officers were nervous, some even frightened. There was no way they could win this fight. The alien fleet had already begun to unleash devastating strikes, reducing Earth's outer defenses to ash. The Earth's military, despite their best efforts, was being torn apart by the superior firepower of the alien warships. The enemy was just too powerful. "We're losing," one officer muttered, his face pale with fear. "We have nothing left," another added, staring at the map that showed the positions of the alien ships, their numbers increasing by the minute. Captain Trent stared at the screen, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. His military was crumbling, and Earth was on the brink of annihilation. Despite everything, he didn't show fear. He had a plan. A final option that he'd kept hidden for years. As the alien ships moved closer, Trent knew the time had come to activate that plan. He was the only one who knew about it, and he was determined to put it into action. As the last few seconds of the countdown ticked away, the command center grew eerily silent. Every person in the room was watching Captain Trent, waiting for orders, unsure of what to do. The alien fleet was almost on top of them, and their weapons were aimed at Earth. "Captain," one of his officers said, nervously, "what do we do now? We're out of options." Trent turned away from the screen and looked directly at his team. His voice was steady, filled with authority. "Activate the Cryo-Sleep protocol." A murmur of confusion spread through the room. The Cryo-Sleep protocol? No one had heard of it. It sounded like a last-ditch measure, one that had never been used before. Trent's team had no idea what it was, but the look on his face left no room for doubt. Whatever this protocol was, it was humanity's final chance. The countdown reached its final seconds. As the alien ships came closer, the room fell into a tense silence. Everyone's heart pounded in their chests as the seconds ticked by. Then, with a loud beep, the countdown hit 0. "Activate the Cryo-Sleep protocol," Trent repeated, his voice unwavering. His fingers flew over the console, typing commands that no one else understood. The room held its breath. Outside, Earth's fate hung in the balance. The alien fleet was moments away from unleashing hell on Earth. The question that hung in the air was simple yet terrifying: what was the Cryo-Sleep protocol? And would it be enough to save humanity from certain destruction? The scene fades to black, leaving only the sound of Captain Trent's voice. "We have one last chance. Activate the Cryo-Sleep protocol." What is this mysterious protocol? And can it possibly be the key to humanity's survival? The cold, sterile silence of the underground facility was shattered by a loud hiss. Major Lila Foster slowly opened her eyes, her body stiff from years of deep cryogenic sleep. For a moment, she was disoriented, her mind struggling to adjust to the unfamiliar surroundings. The last thing she remembered was fighting alongside Earth's best warriors during the last galactic war, but that was so long ago. Now, everything felt different, and a strange, eerie calm filled the air. Lila tried to move, but her body was sluggish, weak from the long years of inactivity. She looked around the dark, metallic room, only to find others lying in cryo-chambers beside her. She was not alone. There were hundreds of soldiers, all encased in cryogenic pods, just like her. But something was wrong. This wasn't the time for rest. The war was over, or so she thought. Before she could gather her thoughts, a sharp voice echoed through the room. "Major Foster, welcome back." Lila blinked, trying to focus on the figure in front of her. It was General Trent, the commander of Earth's last remaining forces. His face was grim, the weight of the situation clear in his eyes. He continued, "We've had a few changes since your time. The alien fleet you fought so hard to defeat has returned. And they're stronger than we ever anticipated." Lila's heart sank. She knew the stakes of the war, but she had no idea that Earth was now facing extinction. The Galactic Empire, the same enemies who had defeated them all those years ago, had come back with new, devastating power. They had mocked Earth's defenses, and now humanity was on the brink of annihilation. General Trent explained that the Cryo-Sleep program was designed to preserve the greatest soldiers, those who fought in the war before they were put to sleep in deep cryogenic stasis, waiting for a day when Earth would need them again. And that day had arrived. Humanity's military was not enough to stop them this time, Trent said. But we have one last hope, you, Major Foster, and your team. Lila stood up, her muscles aching as she slowly moved towards the cryo command. The walls were lined with futuristic technology, and it became clear that the world she had once known was gone. In its place was a new advanced reality, filled with weapons and technologies far beyond her time. The cryo soldiers, now awake and alert, were handed mechs, cloaking devices, and AI-enhanced weapons. Each piece of gear was designed to help them fight the alien invaders, but even with these tools, the soldiers were uncertain. This was a world they didn't understand, and the alien threat was more powerful than ever before. Lila's team, consisting of the most elite soldiers from the last galactic war, gathered in the war room, preparing for their first mission. They were Earth's last hope, and they couldn't afford to fail. The mission was clear: reclaim Earth's sky. But the path ahead was anything but certain. Outside, the sounds of battle were growing louder. Alien warships unleashed devastating attacks on Earth's last defense positions. Humanity's fleet was falling, one ship after another, as the Galactic Empire's fleet rained fire down on Earth's cities. It seemed hopeless. The soldiers knew that their first mission would be the most dangerous one yet, and the outcome was far from guaranteed. "Are we ready?" Major Foster asked, her voice firm but filled with a hint of uncertainty. Her team stood in silence, the weight of the situation bearing down on them. They were trained for war, but they had never imagined facing an enemy this strong, this ruthless. Yet, there was no turning back now. Earth's fate was in their hands. Outside, the alien ships continued their assault, and in the distance, the last remnants of humanity's defenses were crumbling. The clock was ticking. Lila's team prepared to take flight in their mechs, their cloaking devices activated, ready to face the enemy head-on. The battle for Earth's sky had begun, and Major Lila Foster and her team were humanity's final line of defense. Would they be enough to turn the tide? Only time would tell. But with every passing second, Earth's chances grew slimmer. The world was about to find out if the Cryo-Sleep soldiers could overcome the impossible and secure humanity's future. The atmosphere was tense as the first wave of alien ships appeared on the horizon, their massive forms blocking out the sun. Major Lila Foster stood at the front of the battlefield, her eyes locked on the incoming fleet. Behind her, the cryo soldiers were ready, their mechs powered up and their cloaking devices activated. As the alien fleet closed in, the humans had one shot to turn the tide of battle. This was their last stand, and failure was not an option. As the alien flagship loomed overhead, preparing to fire its devastating weapon, Earth's last hope lay in the hands of Major Lila Foster and her team of cryo soldiers. The massive warship's planet-killing weapon was nearly primed, and the cryo soldiers had one last chance to prevent total destruction. The clock was ticking, and time was running out. With determination in her eyes, Foster led her team deep into the heart of the enemy ship. The alien defenses were stronger than expected, and as they entered the ship's inner sanctum, they were met by waves of AI-controlled drones. These drones were faster and stronger than anything the humans had fought before. They swarmed the soldiers like a tide of metal, their weapons blazing. The cryo-soldiers fought back fiercely, using their advanced mechs, cloaking devices, and AI-powered tactics to outmaneuver the drones. The battle was intense, with drones coming at them from every angle. Major Foster's team deployed holographic decoys to confuse the drones, allowing them to slip through enemy lines undetected. The mechs cloaked, disappearing in the shadows, giving them a brief but critical edge in the fight. Every move was calculated, every strike precise. But the AI-controlled drones were relentless, adapting quickly to the humans' tactics. The cryo-soldiers pushed forward, knowing they had no other option but to fight until the end. Foster was at the front of the charge, cutting down enemy drones with deadly efficiency, but she knew the real battle was yet to come. At the heart of the flagship, Foster and her team faced their greatest challenge, the ship's AI overlord. This was no ordinary AI. It was the central command unit of the Galactic Empire's war machine, designed to control the entire fleet. Its massive virtual form filled the room as it mocked the humans' attempts to resist. "You cannot stop us," the AI's cold voice echoed through the chamber. "Your planet will burn." But Foster was undeterred. Drawing on the memory of Private Bonner's sacrifice, she found a new strength. His death had lit a fire inside her and her team, and now they fought with the fury of warriors who had everything to lose. The final confrontation between Major Foster and the AI overlord was a battle of wits and willpower. The AI launched a barrage of virtual weapons, using everything from force fields to laser beams to try and overwhelm the humans. But Foster was ready. She used every trick she knew, AI-powered countermeasures, clever tactics, and the element of surprise, to outmaneuver the massive AI. With a final, desperate push, Foster accessed the ship's main control system and activated the resonance core, an ancient human weapon that had been dormant for centuries. The core, a massive, powerful device capable of eradicating entire fleets, hummed to life. The energy it unleashed was enough to make the ground shake. The massive blast shot out from the flagship's core, cutting through the alien fleet with terrifying precision. Ships exploded in midair, torn apart by the wave of energy. The sky was filled with fire and debris as Earth's last hope became a reality. The alien forces had been struck down, and their fleet was decimated in an instant. But the victory was bittersweet. As the flagship exploded in a spectacular burst of light, the remaining alien forces retaliated with fury. They had lost their flagship, but they were not done yet. In the distance, massive warships were still preparing to launch their final assault on Earth. The cryo-soldiers had won the battle, but the war was far from over. They had dealt a massive blow to the alien invaders, but would it be enough to stop them for good? With humanity's fate still hanging in the balance, Major Foster and her team prepared for the next phase of the battle, knowing that the true test was yet to come. The fight for Earth's survival was far from over. Would humanity be able to withstand the final onslaught, or would the alien forces rise again to crush them? The next chapter in the war was about to begin. With a fierce command, Lila led the charge, her mech springing to life as it moved swiftly through the battlefield, blending into the environment thanks to its cloaking technology. The first alien ship passed by, completely unaware of the soldiers waiting in the shadows. As soon as the right moment came, the cryo-soldiers launched their attack. The sound of their weapons ringing out shattered the silence as they struck with precision. The alien fleet was caught off guard, their ships taking hits from all sides. The sudden assault left the invaders scrambling, confused, and struggling to react. The mechs were faster and more agile than the alien ships had anticipated. In the chaos, the cryo-soldiers unleashed devastating blows, cutting through the enemy lines and leaving the invaders stunned. But the battle was far from over. The air was filled with the sounds of explosions, the orbital bombardment lighting up the sky as human warships fired their weapons, targeting alien ships in space. On the ground, the mechs and soldiers fought bravely, engaging in brutal close-quarters combat with alien soldiers. The tension was unbearable as each soldier pushed forward, giving everything they had to protect Earth. In the midst of the battle, Private Bonner, one of the youngest soldiers in the unit, found himself in a desperate situation. His team was under heavy fire, and an alien soldier was closing in on one of his comrades. Without thinking, Bonner charged at the enemy, sacrificing himself to save his teammate. The alien's weapon struck him down, but not before he took out the enemy soldier, ensuring his team's survival for just a little longer. As Bonner's body fell to the ground, the other cryo-soldiers felt the weight of his sacrifice. Major Foster's heart ached with grief, but that grief quickly transformed into a burning desire for vengeance. She gritted her teeth and pushed forward, leading her team with newfound determination. Bonner's death was not in vain. His sacrifice would fuel their rage and drive them to victory. The battle raged on, with explosions rocking the battlefield and mechs taking down alien warships in space. But the invaders weren't done yet. In the distance, a massive warship loomed, its size dwarfing all the other alien ships. It was the Galactic Empire's flagship, and it was preparing to unleash a weapon that could destroy the entire planet. The ship began charging a planet-killing weapon, its power growing stronger with each passing second. Major Foster's heart skipped a beat. The weapon's energy was building to catastrophic levels, and it was only a matter of time before it fired. The cryo-soldiers had to stop it, and they had to act fast. Without hesitation, Lila turned to her team. "We take that ship down, now," she commanded. The fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. The cryo-soldiers had already given everything, but they would have to give more. Their mission was clear, they had to fight their way through the alien warship's defenses and reach the core before it was too late. As the team moved forward, the alien forces became even more aggressive. The clock was ticking, and every second brought Earth closer to destruction. The final battle for survival was about to reach its peak, and Major Foster and her soldiers were ready to face whatever came their way. Would the cryo-soldiers reach the flagship's core in time to stop the weapon? The answer lay in the coming fight, and it was a race against time. With Earth's future hanging in the balance, the cryo-soldiers prepared to give everything to save humanity. The battle for Earth had been won, but the victory was not the end. As the alien flagship exploded, tearing apart the invading fleet, the remaining alien forces regrouped. Their retreat was swift but far from the sign of surrender. General Zorath, the ruthless leader of the Galactic Empire, was not one to accept defeat easily. In the silence that followed the battle, a chilling transmission echoed across the battlefield, reaching Earth's military command center. Zoratha's cold voice cut through the air, "Earth's victory is temporary. You may have won this battle, but the galaxy will not rest until you are wiped out. You are a thorn in the Empire's side, and we will not allow you to survive." His words were a dark reminder that the war was not over. Humanity had struck a powerful blow, but the alien forces were far from defeated. The Galactic Empire was vast, and they would not let one setback stop them from achieving their goal, total domination of the galaxy. Captain Trent, standing beside Major Foster, looked out across the desolate battlefield. The once vibrant skies were now filled with the wreckage of enemy ships, but the victory came at a high cost. The cryo-soldiers had fought bravely, and Private Bonner's sacrifice still weighed heavily on Foster's heart. The loss of so many comrades in such a short time was a harsh reminder of the brutality of war. Yet, in the face of all this, there was a sense of triumph. Earth's forces had been vastly outnumbered, but they had fought like true warriors. Major Foster, though scarred by the loss of her comrades, stood tall. Her voice rang with determination as she addressed her team and the surviving soldiers. "We've won today," she said, "but this is just the beginning. We will be ready. The Galactic Empire thinks this is over, but they're wrong. Earth will stand strong, and we will fight back. Together, we'll defend this planet and ensure that no one will ever threaten us again." Her words sparked a fire in the hearts of the soldiers around her. Captain Trent, nodding in agreement, knew that Earth's victory wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a message. A message to the rest of the galaxy that humans would not be pushed aside, that Earth was not a weak planet to be crushed, but a force to be reckoned with. But despite the celebrations, there was still uncertainty in the air. General Zoratha's words hung like a dark cloud over the battlefield. Earth had won the day, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire would regroup, and their next move could come at any time. Humanity's enemies had learned one painful lesson, but they were not about to let Earth go unpunished. As the camera panned over the devastated battlefield, the camera lingered on Major Foster, her face set in a grim expression. She knew the road ahead would be tough, and the cost of victory was still too high. The cryo-soldiers had accomplished something remarkable, but their true test had just begun. Earth had become a target, and the future of humanity hung in the balance. In the final moments of the scene, the focus shifted to a darkened room, where General Zorath was seen communicating with his highest-ranking officers. His cold, calculating voice echoed through the room, his eyes burning with fury. "This war isn't over," Zorath declared, his words filled with venom. "Prepare for the next phase. We will crush Earth, no matter the cost." The screen went black, and the words, "To be continued," flashed across the screen. Humanity's victory had been a turning point, but it was only a moment in the greater struggle for survival. The battle for Earth was far from over, and the Galactic Empire would stop at nothing to ensure humanity's destruction. The fate of the galaxy, and Earth's place in it, was still uncertain. The fight for survival would continue, and humanity would have to face even darker challenges ahead. But one thing was certain, Earth was no longer the underdog. The war for the galaxy's future had begun, and humanity was ready to fight for its survival. The next chapter of this battle was about to unfold.